Hi guys, it's me Lewis, and today I'm here to do a little video on what fighting games should come back. Now, of course, tons of people have been been making like videos and like doing like hashtags on social media of them basically begging Microsoft to bring back Killer Instinct. Which don't get me wrong, I do want Killer Instinct, but instead of doing what they're doing, I'm going to do my own little twist on what other fighting games that have high potential of not only coming back, but also have extremely high potential on how they were actually very good, if not decent. But before I get into that, I want to give a shout out to the woman that I love, Skinny Girl and Pop. Which, by the way, babe, I love you. I really do love you. So she recently started doing videos and shit like that. So if you want to go and see that, the link will be in the description down below. So yeah, let's get right into this. And again, Skinny Girl and Pop. Love you. Anyway, so I've got like a list of a few games here. It's not like a top 5 or a top 10 or anything like that. It's just games that I believe that fighting games I believe that definitely should make a comeback. So here are the fighting games that really deserve to make a huge comeback after all these years or decades. So we're gonna start off with quite a controversial fighting game, or somewhat controversial, and that's none other than Fighter Within. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're probably thinking to yourself, "Oh, Lewis, why should Ubisoft waste their time bringing back a Kinect fighting game?" Now, hold your horses, people. Hold your horses. Again, yes, we can all agree it failed. The game fucking failed because obviously Ubisoft got their fucking dicks hard for the fucking Kinect, and of course, while making a Kinect fighting game, it backfired in its fucking face because funny enough though, Fighter Within was actually the last straw for fucking Ubisoft when it came to like motion controlled fighting games, rather than besides Just Dance, which is only going to be like a Nintendo Switch exclusive nowadays. But seeing a game like Fighter Within, judging by the way it looks and how the character designs have good design choices from the developers themselves, it looks like to me that this is a type of fighting game that actually has true potential. And the reason why I say that is because if Ubisoft was ever gonna bring back Fighter Within, they need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay. Let's fix all the major problems that the original version had. Let's not make it as a fucking motion controlled game. Let's just make it as your regular standard fighting game where you press buttons and move a fucking stick around. That's all you have to fucking do. And gameplay wise, in my personal perspective, they should go with something like Tekken, Tekken gameplay with the juggle combos, but also add in the Virtua Fighter ring outs and also the Virtua Fighter replays. Take two of those mechanics from two separate fighting games that people absolutely adore, put them into Fighter Within, and you've got a game that has really high hopes and true potential. But of course, yeah, add some new characters in there and add some new stages in there as well, to make people go, holy shit, okay, this game actually looks pretty damn good. So, Fighter Within definitely, in my personal perspective, needs a fucking comeback, but obviously a new refreshing way, and also it needs a lot of fucking work and being fixed. So next game is quite a underrated gem from Namco, but of course that's none other than Weapon Lord. Now, to those that don't know, Weapon Lord was actually Namco's very first ever fighting game, but it wasn't made by Namco official in Japan. Oh no. It was actually made in Namco in the US. So Namco in America, I should say. Namco in America obviously was so happy about Splatterhouse being doing extremely well. And obviously Namco official saying okay, we want you guys to work on a fighting game. And so the original Soul Calibur, aka Weapon Lord, was obviously created, and that game was mainly made to try and compete with Mortal Kombat around that time. But the sad truth is though, Mortal Kombat was taking over a lot of the fighting games by storm. Obviously along with Killer Instinct and Street Fighter. But the one thing that makes people extremely happy about all this is that Weapon Lord is actually coming to a plug-and-play system. I can't remember what the fuck it was called, but I do remember it being on the list of games on a particular system. So Weapon Lord, in my personal perspective, should definitely make a massive comeback after all these years, because again, with the finishers work differently than they did with Mortal Kombat. So with Weapon Lord, you have to like interact with the finishers. You of course you press down forward A or down forward B or some shit like that. But then it goes on into like the cinematic where your character is ready to like swing the weapon and shit like that, and you have to press the right buttons and the right fucking arrows with a fucking D-pad in order to get the combos correctly. So I would strongly suggest that if Namco is ever going to bring back Weapon Lord, obviously bring back the gory finishes, but just make them as just like regular cinematics, like what Mortal Kombat has. Don't make them as like interactive cinematics, because people will get actually pissed off in how to fucking use them. Especially casual gamers, because I know for a fact that casual gamers might pick this up and go, this looks like Mortal Kombat, but obviously with a barbarian theme. Like, people will definitely go for that shit. Believe me, Weapon Lord, I do believe that game has potential. I do believe it has potential of coming back. So make that into a reboot. Add more characters, obviously, as usual. Add some customization in there if you possibly can. I mean, that would be fucking great. So. Right, so the next game, of course, obviously English Dragon wants me to talk about, obviously, which obviously, my personal favourite also, is none other than, obviously, Sega's best baby, and that's none other than, well, Virtua Fighter. Now, people like me have been asking Sega to bring back Virtua Fighter for quite some fucking time now, and of course, every 1 or 2 years, Sega obviously releases, the Sega surveys. People ask Sega asks the fans, what games should come back, and of course, well, you look at games like Virtua Fighter, Sonic. Well, it's not so much Sonic, but of course, like Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, shit like that. And of course, recently this year, we had Sega announce Phantasy Star Online, which by the way, that came first in the recent Sega survey. So that shows you right there that Sega is definitely listening, and I hope to God they are listening right now on this, because Virtua Fighter is one of your best bloody franchises, Sega, because not only does this game need to come back, but it definitely needs a lot of things to come with it for the 6 installments that the previous games did not have, and that is of course obviously tag team mode, and of course, well, an actual proper story mode like that feels like a movie, something like what Mortal Kombat and Injustice have, and with the characters that you have, you can tell a bloody story with these characters in the actual story mode itself. Like, you can go back to the where you can use the story modes, play through like the previous past Virtua Fighter games and like go through telling the story and shit like that. That right there would bloody work. But yeah, of course, with Virtua Fighter, being a more realistic fighting game. It's not like your typical you punch them in the air. Obviously, you perform a shitload of juggles, even though there are juggles in the game. Obviously, kind of, but the game itself is focused on realistic martial arts, and that's what makes the game so unique. And I do believe that working on Virtua Fighter 6 will not only bring fans like me, to pre-order the bloody game so goddamn quickly, but what we want to see is of course obviously the cut character that never made it into Virtua Fighter, and that was Saber. Like, put Saber in the game, like that right there will make people go, that actually putting Saber in the game this time, that's pretty awesome. John, I'm gonna actually play as him. So yeah, add Saber in the game for VF6. That would bring so much delight to people around. And for the customization, Sega, make sure you add like the polygonal designs for the characters. So it's kind of like a little throwback to obviously Virtua Fighter 1 where everyone looked so fucking polygonal. Add that as a customizational piece. I mean, that right there, people will absolutely adore. People will absolutely love that shit, dude. Bloody bitch, nostalgic as hell, my friend. So Virtua Fighter definitely needs to make a comeback. So the next game on our list is obviously quite a primitive fighting game, and I do say that quite highly, and that's none other than Primal Rage. Now, Primal Rage was actually one of those successful Mortal Kombat knockoffs that actually, well, Mortal Kombat competitors or knockoffs, whichever you want to go by, actually did pretty damn well. Now, it's understandable why Atari cancelled the sequel Primal Rage 2, which I can easily understand why. Even though seeing the gameplay for that game was actually pretty damn good. People like me absolutely loved Primal Rage back in the day, because playing it back on obviously the Atari Jaguar, which obviously wasn't a great console, playing on the fucking Mega Drive and the PlayStation 1, playing that fucking game, Primal Rage, was absolutely a beautiful, outstanding game, and it was basically Mortal Kombat with dinosaurs and giant gorillas like fucking killing each other. And I do believe that Primal Rage should definitely get a reboot after all these years, because a little fun fact though, Primal Rage, the license to Primal Rage hasn't been renewed since 2010, because back in the day, Atari, of course, was obviously almost filed for bankruptcy, obviously for the first time. This obviously wasn't their first time going bankrupt back in 2010, obviously. But back in the day, way back in the late 90s, they actually sold the rights off to a lot of their games to different companies, and of course, Activision actually picked up Primal Rage to add towards the Midway Arcade collection that Activision released back in the early 2000s. And after that, of course, Activision didn't even use Primal Rage or any of the Midway games ever again. So they around 2010, they just didn't even bother renewing the license for those games ever again. So in other words, Primal Rage's license hasn't been renewed. So that means anyone can pick up the rights. Anybody can pick up the rights, including another game that Atari made and obviously that Midway made back in the 90s as well, which I'll get to next in this video, is that seeing these games that haven't seen their licenses being renewed in such a bloody long time gives me some high hopes that anyone who sees these games, please just pick up the rights to them. Pick up the rights to them, because people will go, holy shit, this game's coming back. Oh my god, this game's coming back. That's awesome. Like, make sure you bring it back in the right way, and that way people will go, holy shit, that's amazing. That is bloody amazing. So, Primal Rage, of course, is one of those Mortal Kombat competitors or Mortal Kombat knockoffs that deserve a massive comeback after all these years. Of course, yeah. There were like I think it was like 6 or 7 characters in total, and of course they need to like extend that to like 20 or 25 characters, which I'm hoping to God if there was a reboot in the works for Primal Rage, then definitely without a doubt bring that back with a new coat of paint. So that right there will make people go, that's fucking awesome. I want to see some dinosaurs and giant gorillas and possibly some giant crocodiles and some giant giraffes possibly just fucking murdering the shit out of each other. That'll be fucking beautiful. Now next up is next up is a fighting game that was actually quite unique back on the Nintendo 64. Yes, the Nintendo 64, I do say quite likely. And that's none other than Mace the Dark Age. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, it's probably a toned-down version, because obviously back in the day, Nintendo used to go on a fucking censorship spree, censoring, gory games and shit like that. Now, hold your horses, people, because actually, this is actually the only fucking gory game that Nintendo decided slip by for some bizarre reason. Now, Mace the Dark Age is revolved around 90% of the roster are fucking evil characters. Like a lot of the characters are fucking evil people, and a lot of them are after the same fucking thing. They're after a powerful weapon called the Mace of Tannis. Which, by the way, the Mace of Tannis is actually a weapon that is alive. I'm not joking. It's actually an evil, possessed weapon that's alive, and whoever wields it becomes, well, an evil piece of shit. Even the most innocent of all, the average innocent individual who's done no harm to anybody, once they touch that fucking weapon, it turns you into a piece of shit. And the only way you have to fight it is ignore the shit that's telling you, because it's talking to you in your head. Like, it's basically telling you, oh, do horrible shit for me, kill all these people, do horrific shit to that guy, and I'll give you whatever you want. And that's what the weapon actually does. And of course, the main poster boy being Lord Demos, the evil red demonic knight. This game deserves obviously not only redesigns, because obviously due to how like basic the character designs look. In my personal perspective, again, this is another Mortal Kombat competitor that has high potential. I mean, high potential. Yes, I will agree. The controls were clunky as hell. They were quite clunky. But in my personal perspective, this was a game that had a place in my heart. It really did, because I want to see Mortal Kombat have competition again after all these years, because we don't have that anymore. Primal Rage and Mesa Dark Age are the two perfect examples. Hell, even Weapon Lord. Well, actually, yeah, Weapon Lord is 3 perfect examples of fighting games that need to give Mortal Kombat competition, and I do believe that people should go with that. And again, Mesa Dark Age is another fucking Atari/Midway fighting game. Where its license hasn't been renewed since 2001, so that means no one even bothered to pick up the rights to it. No one even bothered. So this alone tells us that seeing a game that's license hasn't been renewed in a long time does give me high hopes that someone could easily pick this up no problem. And seeing it makes the Dark Age, being obviously the Mortal Kombat competitor. Yes, I will admit that the finishers do need to be turned up to 11. And the reason why obviously is that the finishers in the original game, of course, all it was obviously chopping their heads off or chopping their limbs off, and obviously that's pretty much about it. But just like Weapon Lord, those two games definitely need to turn up the gore to 11, where people's faces are getting ripped off. Intestines are they being ripped out? Their Adam's apple being ripped out as well. Something like that. Like, make it extremely fucking gruesome and uncomfortable for the player to watch. That right there will make them go, oh, it's so gruesome, but I love it. Like, it will drive people nuts. It really bloody would. But Mesa Dark Age definitely needs a massive comeback after all these years, and I really do want to see that. I really do. That'll make my heart really happy about that shit. Now, here comes the final one, which I do believe that obviously the owners of obviously this particular franchise can contact any developers, not Konami, because obviously Konami wants nothing to do with this game, and that's none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. Now, I can see of course, me playing that game myself, obviously back on the Mega Drive, which I will admit though, the Mega Drive version was shit. It was absolute fucking garbage, and I can easily see why people played the Super Nintendo version, because it was a lot better. It was more bright. It was more colorful. It was less hideous looking, and it made perfect sense why people played that version rather than the Mega Drive / Genesis version. So, TMNT Tournament Fighters. What do I think of that? What do I think of that game? Well, over the bloody decades, we've seen obviously the Ninja Turtles comics expand its number of characters, and they can actually bring those characters from the comics into the reboot of the game. And of course, well, stick to what the gameplay's mechanics were, being of course, well, somewhat of a Street Fighter clone. Obviously, that's what the game particularly was. It was somewhat of a somewhat of a Street Fighter clone, where the gameplay and the mechanics were basically traditional. But as you and your opponent's health begins to fucking get lower and lower, the gameplay gets faster and faster. So, of course, Street Fighter traditional gameplay, but as time goes by, the gameplay obviously gets faster and faster, and I do believe that that making a reboot of TMNT Tournament Fighters would actually make a massive comeback to a lot of people. And why do I say this? Why do I say that that Tournament Fighters deserves a reboot? Well, of course, it was a really fun game, and seeing the number of characters in the roster could easily make a massive comeback after so many years. Like, can you imagine how many characters they can throw into the roster? I mean, holy shit, they can add possibly around like 30 or 40 characters, and that right there is like a wide variety to choose from. Like bring back obviously the original roster from the original game, obviously, but add the new characters in there. Add fucking April O'Neil. Add obviously Casey Jones. If I remember correctly, there was like a lobster guy who carries he wears like a military do-rag with an M60, I believe. Bring him in there, and bring in that one robot that the Ninja Turtles went to space with. Bring those characters in there, and people will go, holy shit, these characters are actually a lot of fun to play. They're actually really pretty damn good. So that right there, people, is my games of what deserve my fighting games that I want to see deserve a massive comeback and deserve a massive reboot after all these years. Now I'm going to go, guys. So don't forget to obviously rate, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what fighting games do you want to see come back, or tell me do you believe that the games that I've told you deserve a massive comeback after all these years? Okay, guys, peace out.